Hello friends, we are going to talk about my top 5 psychology book recommendations today. My name is Olesya Luraski. I am a high performance and leadership coach. I have a degree in psychology from Harvard and I'm super excited for this video. I hope that you're gonna like it. This has been a really requested video. And so let's get into it. So these are not going to be in any order. So number 1 is not better than number 5, but let's start out with number 1, and that is Dopamine Nation by Dr. Anna Lembke. And this is actually a very new book. It was just released not yesterday. It was just released last year. And I loved it. I think it's a phenomenal book. I think everyone should read it. I think it's a perfect mixture between self-help and science. And I think if you're interested at all in the neuroscience of dopamine, in addiction, in habit formation, or just in feeling better, in why we get bored, in why we often feel kind of down after we come back from a really fun event, things like that. Dr. Lembke explains all of this. And really on how to live a good life, how to honor our biology. And I think it's phenomenal. I think she presents a lot of work that you've never heard of before. So it's very fresh and new, and it doesn't just like regurgitate old psychology stuff that, you know, we've all read. I think there's something in there for everyone. Just go read it. It's not super long. Would recommend. Okay, so number 2. And that is Hardwiring Happiness by Dr. Rick Hanson. This book I read a long time ago. It's not super new. And Dr. Hanson has several books. Most of them are on Buddhism and psychology, so the interplay of those two. But Hardwiring Happiness is more about happiness and neuroscience. And it really is a wonderful book in, again, combining the science and the kind of accessibility of how to change, how to feel better. And this book does a really good job of combining the science and making it self-accessible to everyone. It's really about how to feel better, how to increase kind of that ratio of positive emotion to difficult emotions, and how to take the moments in your life in which you feel good and kind of expand them and broaden them instead of what our brain naturally does, which is it tries to kind of focus on all the things that bother us. And I think it's just a phenomenal book. I think you'll feel better after you read it. It's a little bit difficult to explain, but just go read it. It's super short. And if you're just kind of struggling with your mood or just you haven't been feeling great lately, it gives you really accessible, like super straightforward advice on how to feel better. And I love it. And I really like Dr. Rick Hanson as well. I've met him before. He's just the kindest guy. Definitely would recommend. Okay, so number 3. This is How Emotions Are Made by Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett, who is a neuroscientist at Northeastern. And the book really is what the title says. It's all about how emotions are made. It's about the science of emotion, particularly the neuroscience. And it's just a wonderful book. It debunks so many bad neuroscience myths out there. If you just want to sound like somewhat intelligent to other people when you're talking neuroscience or psychology, go read this and you will have a better understanding than most of the population. It's just a phenomenal book. It definitely is a little bit more science-based. It definitely goes into the science and less of the how-to. It's less of a self-help book. It's definitely actually a more scientific book. And she goes into a lot of studies. And I think it's just really, really important to understand how our emotions work, why we have emotions, as a path forward to really harnessing them and living kind of our best lives to be able to understand ourselves. All right, so number 4 in my recommendations is Behave by Dr. Robert Sapolsky. He is a neuroscientist and primatologist. He is a neuroscientist and primatologist. This book, it has kind of that famous orange spine that sometimes you see if you've ever had Zoom meetings with like psychologists. This book is a bit like the Bible of neuroscience. It's quite big, it's very long, and Dr. Sapolsky is a bit of a god in the field. I would recommend this a ton. It is definitely technically heavy. It's very much about the mechanisms. It's about understanding why we do things, how the mechanisms in our brains and bodies function to influence us to do things, why we think certain things. And it's so interesting. I think it will really change your view on why you or other people do the things you do, because one of Dr. Sapolsky's biggest beliefs is that we don't have as much free will as we think we do. We're very influenced by our environments, our biology, our upbringing, and I think it's just really interesting. I love this book. I think I might read it again. It's like a whole education in one book. Okay. It's also a great book to gift if you have people in your life that are just very interested in neuroscience or anything like that. Okay, and my number 5, that is Unwinding Anxiety by Dr. Jud Brewer. I added this on the list because I think it does a really good job at helping people overcome their anxiety. And it's something that a lot of people have, especially nowadays. And I love Dr. Jud Brewer's approach. I completely agree with it. And I think he does a wonderful job of meshing kind of the neuroscience and the psychology and really applicable tips and tactics on how to overcome anxiety, as well as integrating a lot of case studies in this book. I think the biggest issue with anxiety is that people don't actually understand it or exactly what it is. And after reading this book, you will understand it and you will understand why you're anxious. And I think this book will really have a huge impact on your life if you have moderate, mild anxiety, severe anxiety, and you read it. I'd love to know what people think if you do have anxiety and you do read this book. Those are currently my top 5 recommendations. I did want to add that I'm doing a 100-book reading challenge this year. It's something that I'm really excited for. I love to read, and I set a goal for myself this year to do 100 books. So I made a Notion list of over 100 psychology books that I am looking at to read. I think there's 134 books on there right now. So if you're interested in reading psychology related books, I think you're really going to like this list. So if you want to join me, I'm going to link that list below. And I'd love for you to join me. You don't have to read 100 books. You can just read 1, you can read 30, you can read 50, whatever you want to do. I do feel like if you do read the 100, or even if you read 50, I think it will really have a massive impact on your life. I think a psychology education is one of the most important things that we can give ourselves. And once you understand yourself, why you do things, you can understand other people, and it just completely opens up your eyes. It's almost like learning a language. It's almost like not speaking English well and living in the United States, and then you finally actually learn English, and then this whole new world opens up to you. I feel like having a psychology education is similar to that. You have no idea why you do things, or why other people do things, or why you feel a certain way, and then you educate yourself in psychology, and then you all of a sudden understand this, and I think it's amazing. I hope to share this with everyone. And so it's completely free. You just go follow the Notion link below, and you can take a look at the list there. I do want to say that a couple of those books are textbooks. They're quite heavy, kind of like neuroscience textbooks. So feel free to skip over those if they're not your style. There's lots on there for everyone. One thing that people ask me oftentimes, you probably noticed that I don't have a lot of physical copies of these books. And that is because I use Audible for a lot of the books I read, and that is how I manage to read so many books. I listen to my audiobooks. I listen to them on 1.7 speed, and I just kind of get them in when I can, in the mornings when I'm cooking, getting ready, things like that. And 1.7 speed does not sound fast anymore. Actually, the reverse is true now. So 1x speed sounds too slow to me. So I do feel like I'm able to comprehend quite a bit, and I'm still able to retain what I am listening to. And so if that's something you're interested in trying out, I would definitely recommend Audible as my favorite subscription. I think I would cancel every other subscription subscription before I cancel Audible. So if you want to try it, follow the link below, because they have this thing where if you sign up for a membership, they give you a free book. So like you get a free month membership and then you get a free book. So if you want to try out one of these books, you can just go sign up for that and get one of these books for free, which is awesome. Maybe you want to get Behave, because this book, like on Audible, I think it's like 30 hours long. So that's really getting the most bang for your buck there. And yeah, if you read any of these books, please let me know. I'd love to hear what you thought. And I hope that you find one of these books to be as enjoyable as I do. And I hope that you have a happy year full of reading. I will see you all next week with another video. Take care.